welcome. I'm delighted to meet you. My daughter's at school today, but I think had I told her that you were coming on the show, she'd have stayed home just to watch it. She is such a Bugs Bunny nut. But also as my father-in-law, I need to just clear something up with you, Chuck. Now, Bugs Bunny is not for children. It's for us adults, isn't it?
Yes, but you don't end sentences in up, Chuck.
Up, Chuck, you don't. That's right. But never, I laugh when people do.
Yes, they do. It's surprising how often.
But was it conceived for adults or for kids?
No, it wasn't conceived for adults because all of our films were made for theaters. We were supposed to go out and get a few laughs with, with pictures like I Was a Fugitive from a Chain Gang or Little Caesar, that sort of thing. And so we didn't know what the audience was. It certainly wasn't children, and none of us were familiar with adults. We were built like adults, but we didn't think like adults.
What did you think like?
And so we tried to think like, can we have some fun here, And we also had enemies. We had producers that we could hate, and you need that, Otherwise, if you don't have somebody you can hate, it's like playing tennis without a net, So we just had decided the only way to work was to try to amuse each other and have fun with each other. And all those years, that's precisely what we did. We went on the wan supposition that if we were doing it right, we'd keep our jobs, and if we weren't, we'd get fired. So that was the only way we had to tell. There were no such thing as Nielsen ratings or any kind of ratings, and no critics.
No. But did you realise then, how many were in the original team, the tight-knit core?
Well, there were three units. Each was composed of an animator, a director, a layout man, a story man, 4 or 5 animators, so about 15 creative people, and then ink and paint and all the other stuff that went with it.
Did you realise then, now we take it for granted, we see it even though we're looking at some that are 30 and 40 and 50 years old, but did you realise then how revolutionary you were?
No, good heavens, no. That's, we thought that if we held our jobs, that's about all we could expect out of life. And it still is pretty much what you can expect out of life.
Absolutely. But as a director, Chuck, what did that mean? It wasn't the normal director of a film, was it? What you did as a director was quite different.
Yes, well, we used whips, basically.
Whips.
The whole thing with animation is the director, rather than moving the actors around, he draws them. You see, so I do 300 to 400 key drawings on every one of the cartoons. The cartoons each ran 6 minutes, and each unit did 10 pictures a year, and there were approximately 5,000 drawings in each cartoon.
Wow.
So a good animator with the help of an assistant could do maybe 15 seconds of screen time a week, and that's still true. At Disney's is less than that. A good animator at Disney's can do maybe 5 seconds a week, but the director has to lay out a 6-minute cartoon in 5 weeks, so it's a little different. We timed the entire film, directed the dialogue, wrote the dialogue, and so on. Sort of an all-purpose thing.
So how many would you have done all up?
How many have I done?
Yes.
About 300, I think.
About 300 all up.
And I've done a number of How the Grinch Stole Christmas and Dr. Seuss's, and then I did Rikki Tikki Tavi and The White Seal and the television specials after I left Warner Brothers.
And
inadvertently.
Yeah, okay. And who else did you do? You did another one for Tom and...
I did Tom and Jerry's, but only after I left Warner Brothers.
Yes. Now, you've described Bugs, as the star of this, as a quiet rabbit living in his hole, perhaps pursuing the history of legumes.
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 Well, I don't care. You call it legumes, I call it legumes.
All right, well, in other words, we mean carrots. Have a look at Bugs now. Look at this.
Oh, carrots are divine. You get a dozen for a dime. It's magic. They fry, a song begins, they roast, and I hear violins. It's magic. Why do I kid myself? Other loves that I have are all really few. When in my heart I know the magic is my love for you.
Now, in this day and age, grown men and women have no right to have so much fun with those.
Well, I hope they continue to do so. That little episode you saw there probably was about 1,000 drawings.
Yeah, just yes. Really? Now, you say Bugs personifies a lot of the qualities you admire, like what?
Well, anyone would like to be like Bugs. I dream of being Bugs Bunny, and I wake up and find I'm Daffy Duck. It's sort of upsetting, or maybe the coyote. Because most of our characters were losers, and I think all of us associate much more with losers or wimps. You know, I was a wimp.
Well, I was going to say that, in fact, the coyote...
All-American wimp.
You're responsible for creating the coyote and also the Roadrunner, aren't you? You yourself?
Yes. And Pepe Le Pew. And
Pepe Le Pew were your characters. Now, is it just a sign of me getting old? Because I'm associating more with the coyote and with Sylvester now than I used to. I mean, they're about my favourites now. Is that because they're losers?
Well, I really don't know about you. I know that I never had any question about what Daffy might do or what the coyote might do or what Elmer might do and so on. But I say with Bugs, I'd love to be like Bugs. And so he's a dream, you see. He's an unusual character in that he's a comic hero. Well, even in live action, there aren't too many of them. You know, Burt Reynolds perhaps in some of his films. But most of them are either heroes per se,
yes,
or else they're losers per se.
Yes.
And you very seldom find one that kind of fits in the middle.
And Despicable? Despicable was your word?
Well, yeah, that was mine. It just sounded right. Of course, the voice came from Leon Schlesinger, our producer. Despicable. Actually,
did he know you were sending him up?
Heavens, no. He used to come back and say, "What are you working on, fella?" And he had this terrible lisp. If you want to know what a lisp is, by the way, it's calling a spade a spade. And so he'd come back and say, "What you working on, fella?" And we'd say, "We're working on Daffy Duck." And we know he wouldn't listen to us, so we'd say, "The story is about Daffy Duck. It turns out that Daffy isn't a duck at all. He's a transvestite chicken." And so he wouldn't listen. He'd say, "That's the boy. Put in lots of jokes." And so one of the fellows said, "I didn't make a very good voice for the duck." And
did he go to his grave never knowing?
No, he came in, and as I say, he didn't pay much attention to anything. But when he came in, when we ran that picture, we'd already written out because it was too far along. So we all wrote out our resignations before he could fire us, because we figured when he saw that duck and heard his own voice coming out of it, it's going to be curtains for one and all. So he came in and he watched the picture, and then he jumped up and he looked around and he said, well, these aren't exact words, but he said, "Goodness gracious, where'd you get that wonderful voice?" It's his, you see. So he went to his grave, you know, taking his money with him, as far as I could see. He didn't give me any. But the voice continued, so to this day, old Daffy has that.
We're going to finish now, but I really have to. I think one of the other attractive things, certainly for me, is the sort of suspended the suspension, the way they defy all the laws of gravity and so on. That until they actually look down, if they're off the cliff, until they actually look down, they can stay there forever and do what they like.
It's perfectly logical. If you find yourself out in midair and you don't look down, you're okay. But if you look down and see where you are, then you'll fall. Or in this case, when the Roadrunner can go down a tunnel that is drawn on the side of a cliff, but the coyote can't. It's the rule.
And the rule is they can always run backwards as fast as you like, or run horizontal, or run upside down.
Well, of course. I mean, don't you wish
we all?
that you could do that?
Absolutely, part of the attraction. Congratulations! It is just wonderful, and it must be wonderful too to see the success that it gets each generation of new children like me.
Well, it's wonderful to be back here, and Down Under is a dream of mine. I can't. My wife and I have decided the only other place that we could live in the world beside where we do live on the ocean in Southern California would be in Australia. We really love it, and it's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Well, congratulations. We're delighted to have you. Would you please thank Chuck Jones? After break, more humour this time of Elliot Goblet. He's back.